Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. My name, as always, is Mikhail Tinubu. I know life can be difficult these days. We have many things going on in our environments, whether you are worried about crime or you're worried about the money in your pockets. We're here to offer you a refuge. Sports news is where you go to have a little break from the world's problems. And of course, we'll start with the Nations League that is currently happening in Europe. Now, England manager Gareth Southgate said on Monday, June 6th, England and Germany are united in their beliefs after reports that the German national team is planning on taking a knee when the two sides face one another in the Nations League today, June 7th. Germany's decision comes as a response to the fact that the English team received jeers when taking a knee ahead of their recent Nations League match in Hungary. England lost that match 1-0 in their first defeat against Hungary in 60 years in their Nations League opening last week, and Southgate will seek a response from his players. After the clash with Germany, England will host Italy on Saturday, June 11th, and Hungary on June 14th.
Yeah, well, we're too pain.
Now, I have with me today Susan, who is going to talk to me about what this means. Susan.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Now, of course, taking the knee has become synonymous with the fight for racial justice. We know it started in 2020 and has become a staple part of the Premier League in the last two seasons. Some players, some of them black, some of them white, some of them other races, have disagreed that it is making any sort of impact. And yet, the Premier League continues to encourage players to take the knee before every match. And even the FA itself is allowing it to go on with the national team. What do you think the reason was for the jeers that the English team got against Hungary when they went when they took the knee in the first match of the Nations League?
Yes, I've always said that if there's any reason we should continue taking the knee, it has to be the fact that FIFA, UEFA have all failed in order to ensure that there's FIFA measures to tackle racism issues. I've always maintained that there should FIFA measures as how racism should be tackled. If this will send a message to every fan out there, to every football supporter out there, to every individual out there that racism should not be part of football, should never be part of football. And I think they should continue taking it. I know it's across all sports, it's not just football. So some of the clubs have said they will stop taking the knee, which I think should never.
Hello, Susan.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, some of the Premier League clubs that said they might abandon taking the knee from next season, which I think is something the Premier League, the FA, FIFA, UEFA should never subscribe to, because I think there's been some sort of orientation between the fact that this should not go on. You cannot stop it totally. It needs to be still measured. So if we stop this, it will look like we're sweeping it under the carpet. We are not sweeping it under the carpet because it looks like racism has come to stay. They are not doing anything about it. And if taking the knee is what it takes to keep sending a reminder, to keep
Susan,
the fans a signal, then I think we should continue. I love what Gary Southgate said after the game. He said it's nothing.
Susan, I think there might be a disconnect. Sometimes we see the teams take the knee, but they're going up against another national team that isn't willing to take the knee, and that becomes sort of a rallying call for their fans who, in certain parts of the world, like Hungary, there isn't as much of a homogenization, much of a mixed race mixing of the races going on in certain places. The likes of Iceland do not have a tremendous amount of diversity. When
Yes.
teams like Germany, who do have a lot of diversity amongst their ranks, when teams like France do have plenty of black players and even African
Yes.
heritage players in their ranks, and those teams are willing to take the knee alongside the English team. But these other teams, the Icelands, the Hungaries, do decide to stand when they're meeting up with these teams. Does that create a disconnect?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Even if there's less racism, racial abuse in your country, it doesn't matter. We are doing this in solidarity. We are doing this to ensure that everyone gets that message. So if you are doing it because you have less racial abuse in cases in your country, that is giving us the support that it's not happening here or it's less here, but we are giving the support. We are giving you that belief that you also can devoid of racial abuses. So I think they also have a big part to play in terms of accepting that they will take the knee. I mean, it looks absurd. One team is taking the knee, the other team is not taking the knee. There's a contrary
A lot of
stands out
people,
there.
a lot of people
That's why
would
I said FIFA
disagree.
should take a stand that this going across all football games. You are taking the knee. Whether it's less in your country, it's abundant in your country. You
Speaking
have
of
to take the knee.
FIFA, speaking of FIFA, a lot of people who disagree with the idea of taking the knee before every game, their refuge and their argument is that it's a political statement and we're trying desperately to keep politics out of sports. Does that fly in the face of what this movement is supposed to represent?
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. It doesn't. I think they're just trying to push their own motion. They're just trying to push their own pace. They're just looking for excuses not to do it. It doesn't fly with me now. I saw that issue. I read up on an article that brought that excuse, and the way they analyzed it, I just knew that no, this is just an excuse for not taking the knee. It doesn't fly with me at all. People should be stiffer on this one. You're taking the knee, and it should be like a neutral rule that court the question for forgiveness. To further notice, when we will have some information that will be given to things that are involved in sexual abuse.
Well, on to some actual football regarding England. Germany and Brazil remain the yardstick for England, managers Gareth Southgate said on Monday, June 6th, welcoming the chance to test his team against the Germans in the Nations League today. Southgate guided England to the 2018 World Cup semi-finals and a runners-up finish in last year's European Championship, a tournament in which they beat Germany en route to the final against Italy, which they lost on penalties. Speaking ahead of England's UEFA Nations League group match in Munich, Southgate said his side had to consistently beat the big teams in world football as they approached the Qatar World Cup starting in November. England lost 1-0 in their first defeat against Hungary in 60 years in their Nations League opener last week, and Southgate will seek a response from his players. After the clash with Germany, England hosts Italy on Saturday, June 11th. Obviously, Germany are one of the powerhouses in international football. Is Gareth Southgate, given the ascension and rise of the English national team in recent years under his management, is he still right to claim that England are still not on the level of Germany and must continue to see Germany and Brazil as the benchmark?
I think England just negative themselves. That's the next truth. They are not. They are never in the level. They're never in the level of Germany and Brazil. I don't know. Maybe in decades to come, I don't think they have those players that will be in the rank of German players and Brazil players. I mean, for Brazil, it's culture in their country that they play football. For Germany, when you talk about the German machine, you might not have that old German machine again, but in terms of the quality they produce, you can't compare with Indian players. I think Germany, Brazil, then maybe you can add Italy, France. Maybe Italy are not big power out of the recent times, but you're looking at benchmark for football. Brazil this time. Brazil are coming up again. They just qualified for the World Cup without losing again. So that tells you that this thing, when they go back, they come with full force again.
Susan, about tonight's match, though, in regards to England facing off against Germany. Germany are going through a sort of a renewal period. They're trying to refine their identity. They have a new manager now, Hansel Flick. After almost about a decade of playing under the tutelage and management of Joachim Low, is this team still, I don't know, dangerous enough to make life a living hell for England tonight?
I think if Hungary can make it life a little bit hell for England, then how would Germany not? I think Germany's talent is there. And I will always say that if Germany is playing their team B and they are going against England, I don't think I have a problem.
Their last meeting, England famously won on their route to the finals of the Euros. Are you saying that Germany are going to get their revenge tonight, or is England going to be able to make up for their stumble against Hungary in their first Nations League opener?
I don't think so. I don't think England is going to make a problem. I think Germany has got this one. On paper, Germany has got the better win ratio against this English side. So I think it's not going to happen. It's going to happen. A lot of the English players are complaining about having a long season, and that's the reason for their slump. So I think Germany have got players here soon.
All right. Well, we still have one story that I do want to talk about. I do want to touch on this because there's still a lot of celebration going on amongst Nadal fans. French Open champion Rafael Nadal said on Sunday's about Sunday's win was one of his most unexpected of his career because of his poor preparation for the tournament. The Spaniard won his 14th title at Roland Garros despite having a chronic foot injury that needed numbing injections to play through the pain. Nadal said that he probably wouldn't have forced himself to play at any other Grand Slam, but he made an exception for the French Open. The 36-year-old called Roland Garros one of the biggest sporting events, just pipping the Olympics. Nadal secured the title with a 6-3, 6-3, 6-0 win over Norwegian Casper Ruud in 2 hours and 18 minutes.
Yeah,
How much of a big deal is this? How much does it add to the myth and legend of Nadal to know that he won this title with such poor preparation and playing through a severe injury to his foot?
That's the player that can play 1.5 legs of play. I mean, he's the king of play. They don't call him the king of play from people. But when he gets on the play, even if he's going to use one leg, he's going to win on play. So I know he played the competition, I think, in Madrid. They had to pull a bit to rib injury and all of that. A couple of injuries he was struggling with. And he came to the first paper and I was like, okay, this has to be Nadal. I thought the match was going to fizzle out was against Djokovic in the quarterfinals, but somehow he stumbled into the semi-final, and I knew from there that he was going to win it. 14th title for him. I think this guy will now agree that Federer up against Nadal, Nadal takes him out. Yes, I might be a Federer fan, but I think Nadal has it for me right now.
You and me both.
Over time that yes, he's the king of tennis, he's the king of music.
You and me both, Susan. I think we can both agree Federer is a legend in his own ranks. Now,
Yeah, he's a legend in his own class, yes.
I do want to say thank you to you, Susan. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I could talk to you about this for all day and maybe even all of tomorrow, but we do have to go. Thank you for joining us.
Eric, thank you so much for having me, Alex.
Have a wonderful day. And to everyone at home or at work, wherever you're able to catch us on Plus Sports on PlusTvAfrica, it's always a pleasure having you. It takes a village to raise a child, and right here, it takes a legion. I can't thank everyone enough, but I will say thank you to everyone that has made this show possible. My name is Omopeloye. Have a wonderful day. Remember, life is never boring with some sports.